All right, so we're diving in here. We're back to the CCS 25K. This is a CCQ for the North American Championship. We're diving backwards, excuse me, into a little bit into round 9. We're looking at Sky and Lamb Chops, both players that are, I think are prominent names in our community. Both really great players. We're looking at a green-blue matchup versus a purple-steel. So again, another matchup that I think will be prominent at Richmond coming up here at the end of the week. So just wanted to note that this stream was done by 20 Lore Pro. If you 20 Lore Pro, if I can talk, excuse me. If you want to watch the full thing, go to their YouTube channel. Without further ado, let's dive into the action. So both players are kind of mulliganing away here, or they might have already mulliganed. Not sure. We just kind of dove into the game here. But again, like as we said, like both players are 6-1-1. So this game is, getting that two loss with a tie really puts you in an interesting spot, like for top cut to say like, hey, like we might get bubbled out, which always feels bad. Like even looking at the DLCs, like getting like being 6-2 at the end of the first day, even if you go undefeated on day 2, doesn't mean you're going to get to the bracket. Which listen, if I end up going 6-2 and then win day 2, all 4 games in day 2 and don't make it to the bracket, I'd be able to live with that. But that would definitely be frustrating. Completely understandable. So both players are mulliganing here, and of course just doing all the housekeeping stuff at the beginning of the game. Lamb Chops is doing a nice job letting us know what's in his hand, which is great to show in the camera. So again, purple steel versus green blue matchup. That obviously the green blue player is going to work hard to control the board. Like that 6 ink turn is a really big turn for the green blue player, making sure that you can shift Prince Philip with Malicious Mean and Scary to just be able to like completely take out all the threats that are on the purple steel player's board. And of course the purple steel player is trying to gain as much lore before that turn hits, and of course making sure that there's still some fuel in the gas tank afterwards to try to finish the game off, right? So as a green blue player myself, I'm generally pretty happy as long as the purple steel player is like below 10 lore before I can get that Prince Philip shift off, because that means that they're not close to giant cobraing me out of the tournament. So anyways, both players are ready to go. Let's start this off. So Sky does what a lot of blue steel or a lot of green blue players do on turn 1: ink the Tipo, pass it over. Lamb Chops gonna ink that Demona, play Palace Guard. That Demona is much better in the blue in the Blurple matchup against green blue, especially if you're going first, because it allows you to actually take out that Prince Philip shift before the shift can actually come down, which is pretty good. So Sky is running 1 jump ahead in his list. I'm assuming he's running 9 ramp targets. So the 1 jump ahead and then 4 Tipos, 4 sails. So yeah, he hit the 1 jump ahead on turn 2. Just a nice clean way to ramp up. You don't have to you don't have to get rid of one of your cards in your hands. Doesn't develop anything on the board, but in this matchup you're okay. You can see Lamb Chops off to the races here, going double 1 drops on turn 2 instead of going for a 2 drop, which he has that Timothy Q mouse in his hands, which is a good option once you can get down your any evasive characters, which he obviously can't on this turn. That would get value out of it at least. And you can see we went ahead with Sky and went with Cinderella, so he is playing the Cinderella list versus the detective list that's been running around. So he's now he's up to 5 ink. So at this point, obviously, he can contest those Captain Hooks whenever they quest. And we see Giant Cobra come down. We see the dump of the dock. Gain 2 lore to go up to 3. And of course, like that's good information for Sky as well, right? Like that Giant Cobra comes down. He gets rid of a dock. That means that there's probably another dock in his hand, right? So one of those cards that Lamb Chops is holding is most likely a dock. Which again, it's just really good knowledge for the green blue player to know that the reload's going to come afterwards. So we see a Clarabelle, and we see the Clarabelle shift come down, and then we're going to sing your welcome onto that Giant Cobra, which we have to do the same thing anytime we play your welcome, whether it's a put the card at the bottom of the deck and then draw 2, or shuffle it into the deck and then draw 2, which definitely supposed to shuffle it out, shuffle it and then draw the 2. So I'm going to have to do a bit of a judgical cleanup here. since he went ahead and put that on the bottom of his deck. It's, happens, right? Happens. But, I mean, the good thing for Lamb Chops with the shuffle versus drawing, too, is that he technically could draw into that Cobra again, right? Like, he could pick up that Cobra on the draw afterwards, right? So we'll see what the judge says here. Obviously shouldn't be anything too crazy because, technically he could put the card on the bottom of his deck and then shuffle it, right? Like is technically a move that he could make. So it's not anything malicious there for sure. So he's going to shuffle that up, draw 2. This is where playing on an emulator makes green blue a lot easier to play because you're generally casting some of your welcomes and things like that. Or even like the Basel 7 cost that the player discards a card at random. Like random on a computer is a lot easier than random in real life. But anyways, You're Welcome is ready to go. He draws into Cheshire and Olaf. And he's going to pass the turnover with that Clarabelle. And he's going to get to draw 3 cards off of it, which against Purple Steel is a lot of value for Clarabelle that you don't usually see. I mean, this is the luxury of Scott getting to go first in this game, right? Like being able to get that value out. And he's up to 6 ink versus Lamb Chops is just getting to 4, which is also really good. He hit that 1 or that that 2, 4, 6 line that we love to see in the green blue deck. And Lamb Chops is now just kind of trying to catch up here. Gonna ink that Iago. And of course, he could just continue to go wide here if he wants to. He's not really at a threat of. He's not at a threat of the Malicious Meaning Scary Prince Philip combo. However, he is at a threat of potentially beginning Under the Sea if he doesn't take out the Cinderella, which I would expect that Captain Hook to probably clean up that Cinderella. But we'll see what he decides to do here. Definitely thinking about it. I mean, if he leaves it on the board, like he could sing Under the Sea with both Clarabelle and Cinderella next turn, and that would clear his entire board, which is most likely game ending for the Purple Steel player. Only at 8 lore here, and would have 2 cards in his hand and nothing on the board versus the green blue player who's going to be sitting there with a Clarabelle and a Cinderella. Yeah, that is. I think that's the right play. I think it's the right play. You obviously want to make sure you're prioritizing getting the lore as the Purple Steel player, but you got to make sure that the board clear, like you don't leave any obvious board clears up there for your opponent to have. At this point, all he can do is take out the Palace Guard or Captain Hook with that Clarabelle, and of course you still have the Olaf sitting there that can bounce that dock back to just continue to allow him to go wider and wider as the Purple Steel player. That dock has been, or the Olaf, has been a really interesting card it's been added into the Purple Steel kind of list of this set that, can allow you to obviously bounce the docks to, get the dock back to your hand, but it also allows you to bounce the Benja. We've seen with the Rise of Dogs and even like some other aggro decks that are playing some other items that Benja bounce can be a big deal. And of course it allows you to only play like 2 of them versus 4, so you can get some more value out of it, right? So anyway, so Sky goes with a John Silver this turn. Great card to kind of control lore gain. He's going to put it on the Palace Guard, put Reckless on the Palace Guard. Go ahead and use the Clarabelle to take out the Palace Guard, to take out the Captain Hook, and passes back over to Lamb Chops. And Sky sitting on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ink. So we're still not at a turn. We're still not at a turn that Malicious Meaning Scary and Prince Philip can come down at the same turn. So Lamb Chops still has like 1 more turn to go wide without having to like really, really worry about it. But see how he navigates this. I think this is like these type of turns here against a green blue player is what really separates like a good Purple Steel player from a great Purple Steel player, is like how you navigate this mid game here. Whenever you're not, like obviously if you're already sitting at like 14 or 16 lore, then like pretty obvious what you're going to do. You're going to quest and you're going to, continue to just try to build lore. So he's going to go, and put down Lexington and Black Heron here. So he's just going to empty his hand out, quest it with that dock, so we can expect that Olaf to smack into the Clarabelle and the Palace Guard, because the Palace Guard has Reckless, so it kind of has to, and bounce that dock back to his hands. Which is going to allow him next turn to go and play the dock again and just get more and more value out of the dock. But Sky is not, Sky is not just like too upset about that. I mean, obviously you'd like the purple steel player to just be top decking forever, but like the board states two characters, and obviously Sky's characters are a bit more formidable. So let's see what he decides to do here. Maybe a Your Welcome's going to come out here. Maybe Mother's Knows Best. Yeah. So Your Welcome's going to come down onto the Lexington. We're going to shuffle cards. We're going to shuffle cards and draw 2 again. Again, like the green blue deck is really just out here to help people shuffle their cards more. It's, obviously a green blue player. We're really missing an opportunity for a green blue player to be sponsored by one of these sleeve companies and just say like, it's the perfect card, perfect sleeves to shuffle. Anyways, so got it shuffled up, gonna draw 2. So now that dock is less valuable, right? Like he's gonna go double Your Welcome. Okay. So double Your Welcome there. It's gonna give Lamb Chops a lot of cards in his hand. So he's gonna be up to like 5, but that's gonna allow Sky to obviously get up that high as well. There we go. So going to draw 2 more, which we did see that he drew into a strength. Okay, he has a Dumbo. Yeah, okay. So interesting hand now. I mean, the dock's kind of useless at this point. And then now he gets to toss down a John Silver, and he's now Sky that has no cards left in his hand, so he's going to get to draw 5 to catch back up with Lamb Chop. So again, that's another great it's another great turn for the blue, like the green blue player, and it's something that like this deck really loves. If you can get the late game and the other player only has like 1 or 2 characters down, like you can just really start bouncing that back to their hand with like the Basel, Mother's Knows Best, or the Your Welcome, and just like continue to just like make them put that card back into their hand, which is so frustrating as a purple steel player, because you want to go wide and you want to quest and you want to just continue to gain lore more and more, but the green blue player just like doesn't let you, which is tough. So tough spot here for Lamb Chops. And of course, Sky is also developing like a pretty formidable board here, right? Double John Silver with a Clarabelle. So like he's going to have to go like 3 wide to even be able to quest for anything at this point, because John Silvers can give Reckless to 2 characters on his board. So interesting spot. And like even the Hades, it's like, okay, like if you play Hades, like you can draw 2 more cards. You already have a ton, like it's fine. So he ends up inking the Hades. And Hades is just a pretty slow tempo card at this point in the game, where it's like, yeah, like it only quests for 1. It's like a 3/4. It's not very formidable, right? To kind of fight the board state that Sky currently has. The Dumbo's interesting because like a Reckless on a Dumbo doesn't really do anything, right? Like because he can still activate his ability with that. He's just gonna go ahead and put down the dock. Oh, he's dumping the rest of that hand. Interesting. So yeah, the rest of his hand was like pretty ugly. He had the Strength, Hypnotic Strength, and the Cheshire Cat. So he ends up dumping all those just to gain 2 more cards. He draws into a Black Heron and another Dumbo, which is interesting. Interesting. Like again, like I would have never thought to make that play. I'm not a purple steel player, but like I definitely would not have wanted to dump like 3 cards like that, right? So he played Vision of the Future. I didn't see which card he pulled, but at some point you would think, like he still hasn't played combo yet. He still hasn't played the Prince Philip Malicious Maiden Scary combo. Like I would imagine he's probably looking for one of those at this point in the game, because he can just kind of wipe out everything that Lamb Chops has and just kind of steady this board state out with, Lamb Chops got 2 cards. Again, he's sitting with those 2 John Silvers. So as long as Lamb Chops' board doesn't grow past 2, like Sky's just going to continue to gain lore. And not have to worry about what Lamb Chop's doing, but plays a Sail, so that means he probably does not have the combo, and he's continuing to fish for it here. And his ink's kind of sliding off the table as well, so we're not sure exactly how much he has. I think he's sitting at like 7 or 8, or he was at, I think he was at 7 last time we checked, so I'm assuming he's at least 8 here. Okay, so he's going to go Sail into the Develop. Okay, so he pulled another card out there. That was a pretty quick pull, which, as an opponent, as you're watching a green-blue player play Vision or play Develop Your Brain, like a quick pull tells you that he's found something that he really wants to find. So he plays a Cinderella here, and now he can just kind of quest out. Or Mother's Knows Best. Yeah, that's a good play. Mother's Knows Best into the Dumbo. And now he can just double quest with the John Silvers, give Doc Reckless, so he can't quest, and Doc will just have to hit into a John Silver or a Clarabelle. And then of course he can pass his turn and activate Cinderella, which is going to do, which of course if you're new to the game and don't know what Cinderella, at the end of your turn, if you play a princess, you can ink a card from your hand and then draw a card. So it's just more dig and just more ramp for you. So really great card that was added to the blue decks this set. I'm sure if you're not a blue player, you disagree, but as a blue player, it's a great card that was added to the set. So now like Sky's board state here is pretty scary for Lamb Chops. Like sitting on the Clarabelle, 2 John Silvers, a Cinderella. All he has is a Doc. So he's gonna put the Dumbo back down that was bounced to his hand for Mother's Knows Best. I guess he could Strength if he has it in his hand. I think he does have a Strength, so he could ink something and play Strength here. Yeah, so a little bit of board cleanup here. A little bit of board cleanup here to take out the Clarabelle, put a damage on the John Silver. Still, I think it might be a little bit too late here. So Cinderella might sing Mother's Knows Best or You're Welcome again. Oh, no, it's time. Okay. So it's going to hit the combo, take out the Dumbo. And listen, whenever you're playing against Purple Steel as the green-blue player, you feel pretty happy to be okay playing the combo to take out one character, right? Like you're feeling pretty good about yourself at that point, because generally against Purple Steel, you want to take out like 3, 4, 5 wide set characters there. So just him being able to play that against the one Dumbo means that he's in a great spot. Now he's just putting down John Silver or Prince Phillips for no reason, just for the lore pressure. So yeah, this game is pretty much done for here for Lamb Chops. I'm not sure there's any way that he can get out of this now. Sky's at 16, so we'd have to take out a lot of characters. Yeah, so we see the scoop from Lamb Chops there. Again, great gameplay by Sky. Lamb Chops just wasn't able to get that early rush onto the green blue player. Of course, Sky is a top tier green blue player as well, so no shame in that for sure. So it's we'll go ahead and fast forward into game 2, so that we can see if Lamb Chops can pull this thing back going first in game 2, or if Sky's going to take this thing 2-0. All right, so both players have shuffled up and are ready to go here. So Lamb Chops is going to go ahead and ink that Black Heron, play Palace Guard. I'd say it's probably one of the more common, or the most common Purple Steel start here is playing Palace Guard on turn 1. That's why you've seen some green-blue players tech in improvise, right? So if they play Palace Guard turn 1, you could improvise that on turn 1 to stop that lore gain, because the Palace Guard is like that 1/4 body. Like there's not much you can do as a green-blue player to stop that thing from gaining like 2 or 3 lore, which you're playing a 20 lore in Lorcana, so like 2 or 3 lore is like a pretty good start. So this time he goes Palace Guard into Timothy Q. Mouse. Gonna quest up with that Palace Guard to get the 1. So I don't know if he's playing the 3-cost Genie that gains evasive on your turn, but that could allow Timothy Q. Mouse to activate his ability, or activate his effect to gain a lore, as you see on the screen here. Let's show him Dumbo. When you have a character with evasive in play, this character gets +1. So that 3-cost Genie that gains evasive on your turn would allow him to actually gain 2 lore on his turn here next, which would be really great for him. So nothing out of the ordinary here. We do see the 3-cost Clarabelle being inked from Sky, which is a card that not as many green blue players are on nowadays. That the 3-cost Clarabelle. Most players are just running that 1-cost Clarabelle, mostly because of that 2-4-6 combo that we've talked about in game 1. That you're not usually playing anything for 3 ink, right? Like you're usually trying to get to 6 as quickly as possible. So he plays his Tipo. He gets the Inca card, which stays a mystery to Lamb Chops, and passes it back over. So let's see what kind of pressure that Lamb Chops can apply in this game here at going first. Like currently, there's nothing that he can definitely quest for 2 more this turn with Timothy Q and Palace Guard. There's nothing that Sky can really do about it on this turn, because he can't shift that Clarabelle yet until the following turn after this next one. So there's nothing that he can do to take out either one of these characters unless he's running improvise, like we mentioned before. So yeah, I don't see that Genie in Lamb Chop's hand, so that might I don't think he's running it. He's trying to decide whether he wants to ink that Elsa, the 5-cost Elsa. Okay, goes into Lexington, which has alert. Um, he's going to quest with both Timothy Q and Palace Guard. And that's the big difference with alert versus the old kind of keywords that you used to have. Like alert says that they can challenge as if they had evasive. It doesn't give them evasive, right? So that doesn't activate Timothy Q Mouse. Like we saw from Frank Karsten at the last DLC. Like he piloted Timothy Q Mouse and was able to like really gain some value with the 3-cost genie and things like that to really take advantage of the wording that used to be on the cards versus the alert that we have now. So now we have an interesting turn here for Sky. Like this is where you really want to start trying to develop that Prince Philip combo if you have it, right? Or you could go Cinderella into it, but at this point, like Lamb Chops is going to be able to gain 3 next turn, but he most likely, as a green-blue player, that turn 4 for Purple Steel is most likely going to be a Dumbo or a Genie, right? Like one of those 2 cards is most likely coming down. So you want to prepare yourself because he's going to gain 4 lore next turn, right? So he's going to be at 7. You got to be careful about, letting that Purple Steel player get closer to 20, right? If he gets to 15 or 16, Giant Cobra start coming down and you start being in a really tough spot. So, this turn he inks the big Clarabelle shift because he's not going to get much value out of that unless he has the Your Welcomes again like he had last game. And now he played a Cinderella. Now he's trying to decide, I think, whether he wants to hit into Palace Guard and Timothy Q Mouse, what he wants to ink for the Cinderella effect at the end of his turn. A lot of decisions to be done here, which I think as a green-blue player, this 4-ink turn against Purple Steel is one of the most important turns of the game because you want to make sure that you can develop enough to kind of turn this game back around, right? Because the tempo is obviously in the Purple Steel player's favor. And this turn will be pretty obvious here for Lamb Chops. He'll ink that Hades and play down either the Genie or the Dumbo, whichever one. I would say probably is he thinking about... Well, listen, maybe I'm wrong. Again, I'm not a Purple Steel expert, but he's thinking about Thunderbolting the Cinderella or maybe the Clarabelle here, which I think could be... That would be an interesting play. Like, the only way that I would think that would be the right play is if he knows... Interesting. So, yeah, he Thunderbolts that. I guess his thought here is that if he does that, there's no chance of a Under the Sea after a shift coming down this next turn, maybe. So that is the way to protect. That is a way to protect him from being board cleared next turn. Other than, Lexington's going to stay no matter what. Interesting. Yeah, it's an interesting decision. If you're Purple Steel players, if you're watching this in the chat, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are for that play. I found that pretty interesting. Plays down the John Silver. I think probably give Timothy Q Mouse Reckless. He knows most likely there's going to be some sort of evasive character coming down. And now Sky, he did ink that big Prince Philip, which always feels bad in this Purple Steel matchup because you can always get some value out of that Prince Philip in this matchup. So yeah, it's interesting. I'd be curious to know what that one card is left in Sky's hands. Could be another Prince Philip, which would making inking the first one be okay. Interesting. So yeah, just thinking on this turn, what to do with the Cinderella and Tipo. Okay, he decides to pass here. Decides to not do anything with the Cinderella and Tipo and just leave them not exerted. So now for Lamb Chops, he has Reckless on Timothy Q Mouse. So there's nothing, he cannot quest with Timothy Q. Also can't attack with him. So sitting, he's just got to sit there this turn basically. So yeah, it's an interesting turn here. He did draw into another Elsa. So he could exert one of the characters for Sky. He could exert Cinderella, Tipo, or John Silver. Yeah, this is like I said, this is an interesting turn here. I'm not sure what is the correct play here. The Elsa play, I don't know that I love it. Obviously, playing the Dumbo doesn't, it doesn't give you any value this turn because Timothy Q has Reckless, and I would imagine that Sky is going to continue to give Timothy Q Reckless as long as that John Silver is alive. Yeah, so definitely a tough turn. He's definitely a bit into the blender here, trying to figure out what the right option is here for him to continue on. Okay, inks the Dumbo, plays the Elsa. Let's see what he decides to exert here. I think this is going to be interesting because he could exert the John Silver and he could take it out with Lexington and Timothy Q, or Lexington and Palace Guard, which I feel like is an okay play because that would then allow Timothy Q to be unlocked to quest the rest of the game. But yeah, he does take out the Cinderella, which allows that Lexington to get more value than it was going to, right? It's going to be able to go 2 for 1 now. Which is obviously what you're looking for in card games. Goes ahead and quests with the Palace Guard to get the 6, and passes it back over to Sky. So Sky's sitting at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's sitting at 6 ink here. So he's going to exert 6. He has another John Silver. Is going to go ahead and give Timothy Q Reckless again, which this turn that Timothy Q is most likely going to have to hit into something depending on what he does with the other John Silver. So the other John Silver, he could quest and give something Reckless. That Lexington's still sitting there. Yeah, okay. So he takes that Palace Guard, which then at this point he could hit that Lexington into the John Silver, take it out, which would then protect the Timothy Q mouse again. I'd say I think there was a genie and a Doc in his or an Olaf in his hand, I believe. So yeah, genie's always a good play. Always feels good to play down a genie, especially in a kind of back and forth game like this. That Olaf is going to be interesting. Whether he just has to put that down as well, because there's a lot of cards on the board that he would like to have back in his hands. Is going to go Lexington and that John Silver, quest with the Elsa, and pass it back over to Sky. Now, I don't know if Sky is running Under the Sea in his list, but if he is, the value on Under the Sea this turn will be crazy. He could sing it with John Silver and Tipo and just completely wipe this board if he's running Under the Sea. But this CCS happens a few weeks ago, which Under the Sea wasn't as popular. Wasn't as popular on the list back then. He does have a third John Silver, 3 John Silver turns back to back, which is pretty crazy. So it does play that, and it's just giving everything Reckless now. And there's no, he did ink that Dumbo earlier, which is pretty tough because he inked that Dumbo. That means he's not going to be able to get past that Reckless unless could have jinxed it and he draw another one. But okay, he drew it to Demona. He also has the Doc, so he's going to play the Doc. Draws into a Lexington and something else. Oh, Calhoun. Okay, so Lexington and Calhoun. So yeah, I mean, Lamchop's board is it's wide and there's a lot of good value characters on this board, but the John Silvers are just kind of sitting there, and there's not much on the board that can actually hit into the John Silvers. Right, he's going to trade 2 to 3 characters across to be able to take out the John Silvers, which feels bad. You don't. That's not what you want to be doing. Is hitting things into John Silvers. The value there is just never going to be good. And the Lexington, obviously Lexington gives you the ability to take out something, which is good. But yeah, he has no way to stop this from happening. I mean, of course, he could go Olaf into John Silver to protect the genie. But it looks like he might go Genie, Timothy Q, and Olaf to take out one of those John Silvers, which is an interesting play. But it's the only way. It's the only way he has to actually clean up one of those John Silvers. Because if not, every single turn, one of those John Silvers is just going to give something reckless, which is just continued value for Sky. So at some point, those John Silvers got to go. He would have loved to have drawn into a Strength of Raging Fire this turn, right? So yeah, he trades all 3 of those into the John Silver. So a little 3-for-1 trade there. He's going to bounce that Doc back to his hand to just continue to be able to, go wide here. He goes Calhoun, Doc, gets to draw 2 more cards, and you can see that he draws into another Doc or another Olaf, to be able to bounce that Doc back again. So again, great value being generated here by Lamb Chops. Just continue to make this Doc be able to put back down and continue to draw more cards. So John Silver Quest, he's going to give something reckless here. Yeah, he's going to give the Doc reckless, which obviously he can go around by hitting it with the Elsa and the Calhoun. He does have strength in his hand now, right? So he could go wide. I think he could go wide here. Play Olaf as well. Sing strength with the Elsa and the John Silver. Yep. And yeah, now Sky's in a lot of trouble. Because Lamb has been able to continue to generate more and more value off of that Doc and just continue to go wide. And Sky still hasn't been able to find his combo, which feels bad. So he does find a Cinderella that he's just going to pass afterwards. So I'm guessing that one piece left in his hand is either Prince Philip or Malicious Mean and Scary. So Lamb Chop's going to go ahead and quest for 40 at the 13. Plays down a Diablo, which is all he has. And is going to go ahead and quest with the Doc as well to go up to 14. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he is representing lethal on the board right now. Calhoun obviously would be able to hit the Cinderella for 2 as well to gain 2 lore. Huh. It's an interesting spot because the only thing he could take out is, wow, yeah, that feels awful. Yeah, he just could not find Malicious Mean and Scary. If he finds that turn, he can sing it with Cinderella and play the Prince Philip down. So now Lamb Chops is sitting at 18 on the board if he quests everything out. Obviously, he can take out the Cinderella with the Calhoun. That's going to put him at 16, and then 17, 18. He's going to be at 19. And then he just plays the Lexington down because why not just go wide? There's nothing that Sky can do. Sky top decks Tipo, and that's going to do it for game 2. So Lamb Chops, the ability, that Olaf to be able to bounce that Doc back just continuously, just continue to give him enough value to just be able to actually get back into this game and win it. So great game there by Lamb Chops. Way to navigate that mid game that I talked about that I think separates kind of the mid-tier Purple Steel players from the really great ones. So we're going to go into game 3. Sky's going to be on the play, and so we'll hop back in whenever game 3 gets here. All right, so hopping into game 3 here. We can see that Sky is going to ink Malicious Mean and Scary first and pass it back over to Lamb Chops. So I'm hoping that means that Sky has another Malicious Mean and Scary in his hands. Because last game he was looking, and that's how it always happens, right? It always happens that one card that you needed to get back into the game, you just can't draw it, and then, oh, guess what? The next game, it's in your opening hand, you get 4 of them, right? That's happens all the time. All right, so Lamb Chops has, you can see an Olaf there to play turn 1 if he wanted to. Let's see what he inks here. Inka Dumbo. Probably, he's got Captain Hook and Olaf. Looks like he's going to play Olaf first. Well, just kidding. Yeah, going to put down Captain Hook. Nothing out of the ordinary here for the Purple Steel player at the beginning of the game. We see a Tipo in Sky's hand, so at least he did not miss ramp on game 2 or in game 3 here. That would feel bad. Does ink the Tipo, play Sail. It lets you draw an extra card, and let's see what he inks. I think he drew into another Tipo. He definitely did. So he's going to ink that and then put down a 1-cost Clairbow. Pass it back over. So again, this is, normal lines here for both players. to go Palace Guard into an Olaf, quest with a Captain Hook. So Lamb Chops, for the past two games has been able to go 1/1 cost on 1, 2/1 cost on 2 to just generate a wide board. He has strength in his hand as well. So yeah, we go Donald Duck on 4 or on turn 3, but on 4 ink for Sky. I love Donald Duck. It's one of my favorite cards. Just lets you continue to draw. Yeah, so we see a hard cash strength there for Lamb Chops, which is something that Purple Steel players have gotten better at, is like not letting you get that Clarabelle shift off. Just let you generate that infinite value there with your big cow. So yeah, I think he's deciding whether he wants to quest that Olaf or not, because Donald Duck could definitely take out the Olaf next turn if he wanted to. He decides to quest with it to get the 3. I don't think there's anything on the board that he would bounce back to his hands. All right. So Donald Duck trigger if Lamb Chop wants it. He does. He decides to take it. So yeah, so both players get to draw both players get to draw a card there, and then Scott obviously gets to draw for his turn. So whenever Donald Duck's down, you get to draw 2 at the beginning of your turn, which feels great because you're getting all the answers, but you're also letting Purple Steel draw more cards, which allows them to find what they need to win the game as well. So it's an interesting point. And this turn here for Sky becomes interesting because I think his main play was to play that Clarabelle shift. But Clarabelle shift is no longer an option because they got taken out. He goes in and plays 1 jump ahead. Cinderella's obviously would be a great play there if he had it. It doesn't look like he did. And so now I think he's trying to decide, like, hey, do I take this Donald Duck into Olaf? I think Lamb Chop's like, please take it out. Yeah, he does. Just take out the Olaf. And yeah, I don't think he's going to bounce anything here because obviously Captain Hook can take out the Donald Duck now. Oh, okay. That's a good play. So, I mean, Mother Knows Best, the Captain Hook, which should save Donald Duck here. So that's really great play because that Donald Duck is kind of a lifeline in this green blue deck because sometimes you struggle to draw cards. So maintaining that on the board allows him to just continue to draw into more answers, and then like if you can get to late game, you're feeling pretty good about it. So Lamb Chops here on turn 4 goes for the Giant Cobra. I think he's trying to decide whether he wants to dump anything. Obviously, he has that Captain Hook that just got bounced back to his hand. But dumps a Genie to gain 2 lore. He's going to quest with Palace Guard to get up to 6. And then he's going to put that Captain Hook back down to make sure that Donald Duck stays not exerted, which, yeah, there we go. All right, so so he's at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's at 6 inks this turn. So he can ink to play a Clarabelle. He could put down John Silver. He could play a Clarabelle and sing your welcome onto like a Giant Cobra or something like that here to gain a lot of value. He's going to go 2. Going to go Tipo. Ink card here. So he's just he's hyper ramping here. And then he's got 4. So he's not, it doesn't look like he is going to ink anything with the Tipo. He's just putting it down. Which is interesting. It's interesting play from Sky. Because if you have your Prince Philip in your hand and you know you're going to play it sometime soon, like playing the Tipo to just like be able to, even if you don't have Malicious Meaning Scary, like that allows you to ping a damage onto something, like a Giant Cobra, Captain Hook, or even the Palace Guard, and like kind of give the Malicious Meaning Scary effect without having that actually cast the song. So he's 4 cost here. Does he have another Donald? Okay, he's going to You're Welcome his own Tipo. Okay, so he's trying to draw cards here. So the answer to the question of what he had, it was nothing. So he's trying to find answers here. And that's what's tough about the green-blue player, again, in this matchup specifically, whenever you start off with that Clarabelle and you're looking for that Clarabelle shift. Assuming that he had it, he might not have had the Clarabelle shift in his hand. So like I could just be talking out of nowhere, but assuming he had the Clarabelle shift in his hand, if that thing gets strengthed or like Fire the Cannons or something like that, it kind of derails your game plan there, which feels bad. It does, it kind of takes away that 5 ink play that you had in your hand that would have generated a lot of value. So he's going to Mother's Know Best the Giant Cobra, and pass it back over to him. Oh no. I think Sky thought that Mother Knows Besting the Cobra would take it out. It definitely does not. It definitely goes back to his hand before it banishes it. So that ends up being a pretty tough play for Sky there. So now Captain Hook can just take out Donald Duck. And then, of course, he has the Cobra to gain 2 more as well. The Cobra's going to come back down. Going to get rid of another Genie with the Cobra. Cobras are just Genie killers. Going to go Doc, draw into an Olaf. Wow, of course. It's tough. He didn't have the Olaf, now he does. Quest with the Palace Guard to get to 9. So yeah, the Olaf is going to allow him to either bounce the Doc or bounce the Cobra back to his hand and just gain more value there. So he plays a Cinderella now, plays a little Clarabelle. That's going to allow him to draw a card since he had less cards in his hand than Lamb Chops. So now he's trying to decide, do I activate the Cinderella ability at the end of my turn here? Because at this point in the game, like now, it's like we really, really need Malicious Mean Scary and Prince Philip. Like we really need the combo. So he does ink something from his hand to get there. Olaf comes down. Lexington comes down. So yeah, now it's just the name of the game is Go Wide. He's going to sing Strength with Giant Cobra onto the Clarabelle. So you can't shift Clarabelle on top of that for next turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So yeah, he's only got 8. He's only got 8 ink, so he can't. I mean, I guess he's got 3 cards. So if those 3 cards are an inkable card, Malicious Mean and Scary, and Prince Philip, like this, he could wipe the board here. But with that Olaf sitting there, Malicious Mean and Scary is gonna allow him to get that Giant Cobra, or most likely the Dock back to his hand to just be able to go wide and dump again next turn, which feels bad after that board clear. All right, so he's got 6. Maybe John Silver coming down. Yep, definitely John Silver. Let's see what he decides to give Reckless with the John Silver. Yeah, he's definitely in a rough spot because Lamb Chops is representing 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 on the board here. And obviously the ability to bounce back either the Dock or the Giant Cobra this turn to be able to generate more value. So we drew into a Demona. So he's got to ink the Demona because he doesn't have enough ink for it. I'm going to quest with Doc. Obviously, probably hit that Olaf into the Cinderella and trade those out. Get the Doc back, play it, draw 2 more cards. Wow. I think he just drew into another Olaf and a Giant Cobra. Which would be super gross if he did. Okay, no, it's not another Olaf at least. But it is a Giant Cobra, and I think a Cheshire Cat is the other card there in his hand. But yeah, Palace Guard has Reckless, so it can't quest. Doc is fresh, so it can't do anything. So Cheshire Cat comes down. And yeah, Sky's still sitting on 8 ink. Plays Vision to try to find the combo piece he's missing. I see a Prince Philip in his hand from the Vision. Of course, I don't know what the other piece is he has in his hand. I'm hoping it's the Malicious Mean and Scary since he inked one earlier. So I'm hoping that he didn't ink one of the pieces that he needed. I mean, sometimes you have to, but I hope that's not the case for him at least. So he grabs it out, grabs something out. I wasn't sure which one he grabbed exactly, but grabs something out. Um, and yeah, this turn's really interesting because like if he has the combo now, he can't really quest with John Silver, which means he can't give something reckless. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Lamb Chops is going to be at 19, which I guess none of this really matters because even if he does quest, we know that Lamb Chops has Giant Cobra in his hand. So no matter what Sky does here, Lamb Chops is going to win this game. Which, you know, obviously we know more than what each player knows here because we can see we can see each other's hands a little bit. Like we know what's going on kind of at a God view per se, but. You wish you could just like if you're Lamb Chops, you wish you could just say, "Hey, Sky, like there's just nothing, there's nothing you can do here." I mean, the only thing that could be done here, I guess, if he had another John Silver, he could limit him to get the 17 plus the 2 from the Giant Cobra to get to 19. But yeah, he does nothing. So yeah, Lamb Chops is going to quest out, and that's going to do the game. So yeah, tough game there for Sky. I don't think there was any bad plays per se. I think that was just Lamb Chops played well in game 2 to be able to like chain those Olafs with Docs, so just continue to draw more cards. And in game 3, I mean, there was the one misplay with the Mother's Know Best on the Giant Cobra, not banishing that Cobra, which like listen, I've made that mistake many times, so it's not a terrible mistake by any stretch of the imagination, but definitely feels bad. But yeah, just a great series by 2 great players. Again, if you want to see more content like this, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We'll be making more, especially as we go into DLC Richmond coming up at the end of the week. But yeah, like and subscribe. If you want to watch the whole CCS coverage, you can go to 20 Lore's YouTube channel and you can watch from round 1 all the way to the finals. And you get to see some one-turn kill decks, which is pretty cool. So thank y'all for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.